it's another side that, like, wants to take more. It wants to go that one more round. Because, like, going that one more round when you don't think you can, that's what makes all the difference in your life. You know what I mean?
Welcome to another episode of One More Round, the Rocky Series podcast. I'm joined, as always, with Katie and Kyle. Kyle is a little bit tired, he said, because his dog was pooping all night. Katie is a little bit tired, too, because she was pooping all night. So, how are you guys?
Oh,
Girls don't poop. That's a fact.
that's true. It's true.
I forgot about that. Girls don't poop. It must be nice. Okay. All right. Too much information, as they say. Okay. So we're going to get right into it. We got a couple things to talk about. I have an email from Patrick regarding the Stallone Zone Forum drama.
Oh, yeah.
I got more. So I'm going to read and do that one last. And Kyle, I'm going to read it because Kyle got mad at me last time for interrupting Katie with my narrative. So I'm going to... I'm going to do the Patrick Stallone Zone reading just so I can interrupt myself. Okay. But Katie, why don't you start with your emails there?
Okay. We have one from Doug. Doug from Rocky Minute.
Yes.
He says, Katie, Kyle, and Ryan, in the last episode, you guys covered one of my favorite scenes and the most heartbreaking one, the one in the stairwell with Mickey. When we covered Rocky 2 on Rocky Minute, this moment is where the movie kind of went sideways for us. Early on, we're led to believe that Rocky wants to fight again because of their money troubles. But here, Rocky tearfully tells Mickey, I got to be around it. So we wondered for the rest of the movie, what exactly is Rocky's motivation for wanting to fight? Is it money, or is it his love of the sport and the fact that he's a fighter in his heart? One of the positions that I took maybe is that it was about money at first, but once he realized it was taken away from him, then he realized how much he actually loves it and not exactly all about the money. Anyway, I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Love yous. Your brother in Rocky, Doug.
Doug is the host, of course, of the Rocky Minute podcast. You know, it's the number one show on the network. It's the number one show, the Rocky Minute. He's the best. You know, without him, our network would crumble. So anyways, yeah, Doug, great question. I remember them discussing that on season 2 of the Rocky Minute.
I do too.
Well, I want to hear Kyle. We'll start with you, Kyle. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good point. I don't really think it's the money. I don't think it was ever really the money. If you go back to the first film, that fight, if he can go the distance, he knows he's not another bum from the neighborhood. I think he realized his potential there, and he wanted something more for himself, what he was doing before. And I think he tried to find that by getting like an office job and stuff like that, by becoming more. And when he realized he couldn't do that, I think he came to the realization that fighting is what he's supposed to do. I think the money is just a catalyst for that. It puts extra pressure on him, but with the money too, is a man, especially in that era, being a provider so important. So he's at home and he's unable to provide. He's just another bum from the neighborhood type of things. I think it's really his self-esteem that has a lot to do with it. And fighting is really his only option in order to feel like he's worth something.
Well said.
Yeah. Katie? Very well said. I agree with Kyle, and I think that's kind of where the position that Doug was taking as well. The only thing I would add is that I think that's the point where he realizes how much it does mean to him. Like you said, Kyle, in the first one, it was just kind of a hobby. His life was just kind of aimless, and he does realize he has something there. And I don't think until it was taken away from him how much it meant to him. I will say they're right. I do agree with them. We're shown in Rocky 2 a little bit of both. And so I can see how a viewer would be irksome to viewers. Like, well, is it the money or is it the love of the sport? And I guess at the end of the day, it's both.
I think they might have come in at different times. You know, he has to take care of his family. He's good at boxing. It's all he knows, but he's got to take care of his family. And I don't know why, and this is not an insult to Doug and his co-host at the time, Jason, but Jason in particular seemed to be really, I would say bent out of shape, but he seemed to be really, to me, it was just both. Like, it just works. It's pragmatic. Look, I'm good at this. I can get money from this. Let's just do this. This is all I know. Checks a lot of boxes. It can get us out of this rut as a family, and it's what I know. I don't want to haul meat, and I don't want to break thumbs, so can I box? I think money is a great motivator. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and Rocky's just human. So the money helps, and he's good at it, or at least good enough to go toe-to-toe with the champion. So they both presented the love of the sport and the money need. Both came at different times, but at the end of the day, that's the final reason. Money, and he's good at boxing.
Well, I think it also took some time for him to realize that he has to be around boxing. Probably initially when your face is caved in, like when he said, I'm officially retired in the hospital, he probably really meant that. Because like he accomplished his goal by going the distance. He, like in a lot of pain, he was permanently damaged. And he's like, okay, it's over. I did what I wanted to do with boxing. I'm done now. It takes time for him working in a meat factory or doing other jobs to realize, hey, I really want to do this. I can't really make something of myself. I need to be around boxing, but I think it takes time for him to realize that. Like, I think it would have been weird if he said that early in the film. Like, I need to be around it. Like, you were just around it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's probably a combination of maybe just not the writing, but it's a movie and the narrative isn't quite making sense. But at the end of the day, money, and he's good at it, and he's going to provide for his family. Okay, thanks, Doug. Again, Doug is the host of the Rocky Minute. Donald commented in our Discord. Thank you to everyone in our Discord, by the way. We've got a good handful of people here today, so thanks for joining us live. But Donald, he goes, wow, the one show Ryan doesn't host isn't number one. And he goes on to say that we have Sly, who talks to other podcasters. This is like a massive joke on Ryan. Trust me, I know. I've been doing this for 6 years, and for 6 years, the public's been sticking it to me, and I want to know how come. You know what? Sly, his Instagram account, he follows the Round 14 podcast, guys, which is a part of our network, which is fantastic. So Sly actually on his Instagram follows like 70 people, and one of them happens to be the Round 14 podcast, and he actually likes some of their posts with his Instagram account. I'm like, what the hell, Sly? Like, I'm not saying he has to listen or like my show, but I've been doing this for 6 years, and for 6 years, Sly's been sticking it to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something going on here. I don't get it. Okay. And Doug podcasts once every 6 months, and his show beats mine every time. Okay. So, I don't know. What can I tell you? I know. It's okay. Look, I want all the numbers to do well, but he kills me. Okay, so you got the other email there, Katie?
Yes, we have another email from our Spanish listener, Jaime, or Jamie. He says, hi again, Ryan, Kyle, and Katie. Thank you for your kind words in episode 5 of One More Round. I appreciate it. Ryan, yes, I am a new listener for about 6 or 7 months. And yes, I was listening to episodes of Creed when I unknowingly sent an email from an old address. What cloud? I've more or less caught up. I just have to listen to some Rocky 5 episodes of Going the Distance. And I've just discovered the Worst of the Best podcast. It's great.
You know, I never plugged that. I should actually just plug that every now and then. I have another podcast called The Worst of the Best Podcast, which is fun to do. And I do that with my brother, Jason, and it's a lot of fun. And Katie, we recorded an episode together. So if you want to check out that podcast, again, it's called The Worst of the Best Podcast. Katie and I did a Friends episode that's coming out soon. So
it is a good show. I listen.
Oh, thank you.
Even though it's not on Stitcher.
It's weird. Yeah.
Am I not good enough to be on Worst of the Best? Am I not good enough for you? I don't need nothing from you. I don't need nothing from you.
Friends don't know.
I'll sweat you. Jamie says, Kyle, when you say I'll never be able to speak French like this guy speaks English, you are very kind, but keep in mind that I'm writing very slowly, not speaking. I hardly ever speak the language because my spoken English is full of and bits of phrases from movies and songs, which make me sound a bit silly. In any case, don't be discouraged. 4 or 5 years ago, I was unable to listen to an hour-long episode of a podcast in English without despairing, and now I listen to a few of them, although I do get lost from time to time. Find a good podcast in French on a topic that you're passionate about.
There are no good podcasts in French.
If you do that, Kyle, you'll have to keep us posted.
I listen to the Duolingo French podcast. Yeah. Which has a variety of topics, and they speak slowly.
It's got a variety of topics.
It's European French, and Canadian French sounds very different. So I'll practice with my wife who speaks French. Sometimes she won't understand me because I'll say it the European way, because apps I use and stuff focus on speaking that way. So it's coming along okay, though.
Very nice. I'm really impressed. So then he goes on to say, Katie, muchas gracias for pointing out in episode 6 the Spanish pronunciation of my name, Jaime. Although it is not important, it's very kind of you. In any case, the Anglophone version of Jamie sounds cool to me. I hope you had a happy stay in Puerto Vallarta. Y además habrás tenido la oportunidad de practicar español. So I think that's saying, I hope you had an opportunity to practice your Spanish.
Oh.
And see. Yes,
how was your vacation? How did that go?
It was good. It was a very quick trip. We were there for 3 nights, so just enough time to enjoy the pool, the beach, cervezas.
Now, if you're following Katie on Facebook, you get to see some bikini shots. Touche. Well done.
With a cover-up on. I'm very,
Well, yeah, it's classy. It's classy. It's, Good job. You don't want to see...
You just got to get a stalker now.
So I do get an anxiety. I don't have trips after this planned, and I have a little bit of an anxiety. So summing up a trip is sort of like my check in my brain to be like, okay, now schedule another one. But so I did get to practice my Spanish.
Dave just said in our Discord, friend request just sent. We should do like a Patreon, we'll post the bikini pictures on Patreon.
It'll be a bikini picture of me and not her. We didn't say who it was. We just said a bikini picture.
That's right.
Of one of
bikini
the
pictures, thongs and bikini pictures. Me and Kyle.
That would be freaking hilarious, actually. I think we should do it. So Jaime says, it's a place that sounds familiar to me because it was always mentioned in a cheesy television series that I watched when I was a kid, The Love Boat. I've actually never seen The Love Boat.
Oh, you would love it. I think you would love it. I think it's right up your cheesy alley. It's that Golden Girls era of TV. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with the opening music and stuff, but I've never seen it. I'll have to check it out. Then he says, do. I'd like to say something about the music of the Rocky saga. For starters, I congratulate you, Ryan, on the interviews you did a few years ago with Bill Conti, Robert Tepper, author of the best soundtrack for thinking serious things while driving, and Vince DiCola, author of the best sounds to introduce both evil Russians and gender-fluid robots. Of course, the music of Bill Conti is central in the Rocky series. Even when it appears in Creed, it still works. And thank God it appears. I've always found it fascinating that Rocky's soundtrack, especially Bill Conti's music, but also Survivor's Eye of the Tiger, is able by itself to inspire the essence of the plot of the character's story. Endure one more round, push yourself, don't give up, wear black Converse sneakers, and gobble up raw eggs. I remember that story about Sly wanting the Queen song, Another One Bites the Dust, for Rocky III. Their Majesties refused, and that's how the commission of Eye of the Tiger arose. Well, if it's true, I'm glad for that. I just, on this point, would like to agree with Jaime. I'm very glad that we have Eye of the Tiger. While Another One Bites the Dust is a great song, Eye of the Tiger is way better for Rocky.
Agreed.
In my opinion. Jaime goes on to say, No Easy Way Out is great. I also like Burning Heart, of course, even not as much as Eye of the Tiger. I like Hearts on Fire a little less, but it's okay. And you get used to Take You Back being sung on the street corner and in a funny bedroom duet. Come on. You're going to wake the baby who's like 3 or 4. For me, the worst song in the entire saga, I already told you, is The Measure of a Man. I don't get it, Jaime. Jaime says, sounds like an anesthetized Lion King to me. Well, the culprits are Sir Elton John and Tim Rice. And that silly sitcom piano. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to offend anyone.
No, you have your opinion. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
It's divisive at the very least. It's either people love it or you don't. For that ending for Rocky V. Yeah.
He says, well, although I make fun of some tunes, come on, no one in history of sound has gotten as much out of something as flat as Take You Back. That's being a genius. The truth is that I have a lot of respect for anyone who is dedicated to making songs. Like the Bible says, who am I, a creepo, to say that Elton John song is weak? I'm going to tell you, I've made noisy, nonsense, nondescript songs most of my life, and I can assure you that if my brother was a filmmaker, he wouldn't hire me to play the tambourine on a soundtrack. But of course, I never had no manager. Once again, congratulations on the show. Yours truly, Jamie/Jaime. Great email. So thank you again, Jaime. And yeah, lots on the music. We haven't really talked about it in an all-encompassing way like that.
We haven't done a music episode. I think we talk about the songs when we come across them in the films, but yeah, a better podcast would do an episode dedicated to the music. But however, I did interview Bill Conti, so
And Robert Tepper, right?
Oh, yeah, and Robert,
Yeah.
you know what? Robert Tepper's a bigger get than Bill Conti. You're right. Oscar winner.
Well,
and Vince DiCola was amazing.
Yeah.
He was so generous with his time. I wish I could go back in time and do Robert Tepper again, because that was back when Ruben and I were kind of early in our recording skills and abilities, and where equipment wasn't very good. It was like over the phone. It doesn't sound very good. I feel bad because I could have given Tepper a better interview, but it was still kind of fun because we told Tepper at the time that we made fun of him. It was kind of fun to tell him that. But
I vaguely recall that, yeah.
We told him that he was the butt of our jokes for some of those episodes, that Tepper would interrupt the podcast at the end of the podcast. Anyways, those are the good early days. Louise brought up a good point that Measure of a Man would be meaningless if it didn't close out Rocky V. My quick thoughts on Measure of a Man. I actually quite like it. I like Elton John in general. And I thought it was I remember seeing the theaters, of course, in 1990 when I was 15. And I remember thinking it was a nice send-out. It was because it was a kind of a ballady memorial, like a memorial song. The series is over. Rocky V was the last film for many years, and it was always going to be the last film for many years. And it was a nice send-off because the Measure of a Man, of course, is Rocky, the character, the Measure of a Man. So...
Agreed. And the black and white, wasn't it? With
they show black and white photos.
Yeah.
Like a scrapbook of the series and stuff. So I thought
it was really well done as
cheesy.
well.
It's cheesy, but it's nice. Yeah. Okay. And Take You Back is, what's a worse song? Take You Back or There's Two Kinds of Love.
You ought to know the two kinds of love.
Oh, and what's the one in Rocky 3? Push It.
Oh, that's a horrible song.
Right?
That might be the worst song. Push It.
Yeah.
That's a good go. That's a deep cut. Yeah, we'll get to that one for sure. I was speaking of Push It. We'll get to it, but I interviewed one of the dancers. That's actually on one of my episodes.
Oh yeah. I remember that too.
Okay. Speaking of which, I do have an interview coming up for one more round. I'm actually doing an interview later. It's actually not anyone from the Rocky franchise, but he's a big YouTuber. He has 1.5 million subscribers on his YouTube channel, and he's very kind to come on and be interviewed. So we're going to talk Rocky, and we're going to talk about how his love of Rocky will fit into one of his future YouTube episodes. So he'll be on kind of a bonus episode of me interviewing him. So we'll get to that, and very soon it's going to be on the podcast feed. I miss doing interviews. I haven't done one in a while.
You haven't?
Yeah. Well, nobody wants to talk to me.
No, untrue.
Yeah, I also interviewed George Washington Duke. Yeah, that was a fun one too. Richard Grant.
Yeah.
Richard Gant.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's a great one. I really liked that interview.
I did too. You've done a lot of...
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No. I was just going to compliment
please continue complimenting.
You've done a lot of really good, you've got some good gets, and you are a good interviewer.
All podcast. That's pretty impressive that you've been able to land legit people.
Well, I think I got them in the early days of the podcast when they realized I really was just a ham and egger. They don't come around. I think some of my funnest interview failures were those are good stories. I've shared them throughout the podcast where Kevin Connolly ghosted me. He was that close to making a date, and then he started ghosting me on the email. We were back and forth in email, sending a date, and when I solidified a date, he ghosted me. And who else ghosted me? Blues Clues guy. The Blues Clues guy. He's a Rocky fan. I think his name's Steve.
Blues? What are you talking? Who's that?
Blues Clues is a children's show, very popular in Canada. I don't know if it's popular in the States. The host. The children's host, you can Google him. He's quite a popular character and actor, but yeah, he's a Rocky fan, and he said he was going to come on the show. But anyways, so I've got ghosted by a couple of people. When I say ghosted, that means they agreed, at least verbally, and said, yeah, we'll do this, and then it fell through. So I do have an update here from Patrick, our favorite German, regarding the drama, and I call it drama because it is drama, on the Stallone Zone forum. So if you haven't heard episode 7, I'd recommend going back and listening to episode 7 because we talk about Bob, who is in charge of the forum, whether he's legally in charge of or has inserted himself, the leader of the forum. He's the voice of the forum right now, according to Patrick. So we gave our little bits on that. Katie read the email, and I interrupted her a lot because I was narrating the background story, filling in the gaps. Patrick had gaps, I had gaps. Together, we filled in gaps.
No worries at all.
Okay, so he gave us an update because he heard the episode, and we spoke to things, and so he corrected us and gave us some more, okay, so Ryan said XYZ, here's some more stuff. So here we go. Hello, Ryan, Kyle, and Katie. Just listened to episode 7 of your Rocky 2 coverage. Some final thoughts on the Creed 3/Michael B. Jordan /Winkler situation on the Stallone Zone forum. So again, Stallone Zone is a message board, old school message board, fan of Stallone. So people go on there, they can post a variety of topics. Just like it's like a Reddit. It's almost like a Reddit for Stallone. It's just you go on there, you can post links, stories, thoughts, ideas. It's supposed to be a market of free thought, but it turns out it might not be that. Patrick goes on to say, Ryan, you wondered if I misunderstood some of the things, quote, Bob, that's not his real name. Again, Bob is an...
pseudonym?
Yeah, pseudonym, thank you. Bob is a pseudonym for somebody else. Again, I won't say that person's name, because if I did, the majority of our listeners will know who that is. And a lot of other members we're talking about. Okay, let me start again. Ryan, you wondered if I misunderstood some of the things Bob and a lot of the other members were talking about. I did not actually, as I visited the forum multiple times a day during that time, a personal target of some of Bob's rants. To make it clear, to make it clear once more what the problems of Bob and a lot of the other members were and are. One, like you like this, Katie, he numbers these things.
Of course he did.
Yeah,
I love that. I love numbered lists.
Yeah, this is great. I wanted to almost send it to Katie just so she could see the format. It's beautifully laid out.
I love it.
So basically what he's saying here is, and I think what I was doing too, Patrick, just so you know, I was trying to be diplomatic to a degree. Like, I believe Patrick, but I was trying to be a little bit diplomatic because I had a feeling, maybe or maybe not, that some of the listeners of my show might go back to this person's ears and say, hey, just so you know, one more round, or Ryan in particular, is talking about the Stallone Zone. So I want to be a little bit diplomatic and just benefit of the doubt. Like, yes, we have one side of the story. So again, the invitation's out to any member of the Stallone Zone, any of the moderators, Bob himself. If anybody wants to reach out to me and just say, hey, Patrick's maybe misunderstood, again, their side of the story, or this is what our intention is, this is what we meant, and maybe Patrick's misunderstanding their intention. Maybe their intentions are pure. But again, here's Patrick's experience. So, 1. Some members were accused of being disrespectful to Sly when he visited the forum. So when Sly visited the forum, people were being disrespectful to Sly. Patrick says, I didn't see any disrespect, though. That one forum member's intent to post the video of John Campia wondering why Sly was attacking Winkler was just to show Sly that the outside world, so those kind of outside the fandom, would still have to understand that the problem with Winkler was... whereas we, the forum members, already knew. So again, there was this video that somebody posted in that Sly saw. Basically, if you're not an insider of Sly's fandom, the general public would be like, why is Sly... Because I've actually heard other podcasts and other people saying they don't know, again, why Sly's not in Creed 3. It's still kind of unclear. And so if you're a Sly fan, like, fanatic, that's what fan means, then we all know that there's been some disagreements, behind the scene drama, but the average moviegoer is going to still go to Creed 3 and not wonder, like, why? Where's Rocky? Where's Sly? Right? Mm-hmm. So I think there was a video that was posted to show Sly that maybe there is some confusion of what's going on here. When Sly left because of that posted video, Bob and his army of Sly worshippers took over and accused many members of both being disrespectful towards Sly and driving him away. So that's why that happened. So that video was posted, Sly ran away and then Bob and his cohorts were like, all you guys made personal attacks. Number 2, a rule then was implemented that any negative comment and thus any objective discussion was forbidden. So you can't say...
A rule. Okay.
That, to me, again, isn't the form of free thought. Basically, people at the Stallone Zone forum moderators probably don't listen to our podcast because we are critical.
What?
Well, nobody listens. Everyone listens to Rocky Minute. 3, Sly wrote on the forum, and Bob knew from Sly personally, that Sly hated the Winklers, Irwin and his sons, that he wished he hadn't done Creed 1 and 2, and that Rocky Balboa was the real ending. Some members are reading from Sly's words that Creed and Creed 2 and Creed 3 were mere fan fiction and are driving the point home in a lot of the posts. Sly has said that he regrets or doesn't like that he did Creed 1 and 2, and that Sly's basically saying, in my universe as the creator, Rocky Balboa is the final film. So again, if you like the Creed films, you're not supporting Sly's wishes, so to speak, that he did them, though. The fact is he did do them, the Rocky characters in them. Mm-hmm. Okay. I know there's a lot here. 4, Sly feels that Michael B. and Irwin Winkler took the Rocky franchise away from him. That's fair. If he feels that way, that's fair. Michael B. Jordan had his own vision for Creed 3 and never intended for Sly to be involved. Bob also said that Michael B. Jordan behaved very arrogantly on the set of Creed 2. We've talked about that, and that may very well again be true. A lot of hate comes from the fact that Winkler gave Michael B. final cut on his first directorial gig, something that Sly never got from Winkler.
Oh, well, that's news to me.
Which, again, is fair. If Sly feels jilted by that, that's a fair thing to feel about. But these are all fair things so far, and I think these are things we already knew. Due to Michael B's and Winkler's behavior, Sly didn't help Michael B with the editing and wasn't willing to film some Rocky scenes to help the film, as he was so hurt and angry having been pushed out of his own franchise. Okay. There might be some indication here that Sly could have been in the film, but he refused to do so. So 5. Knowing this about Winkler and Michael B leads to only one conclusion. This is the conclusion that the forum stipulates. Creed 3 and Michael B have to be boycotted at every cost, as they have been backstabbing Sly. And as we fans knew, quote, how much pain the Winkler situation causes Sly, end quote. To quote Bob again, so this is from the forum quote, Bob said, how much pain the Winkler situation has caused Sly. Every supporter of Creed 3 is no real Sly fan. And that would include me, Patrick, for example, as I was being yelled at and asked by Bob, quote, what was broken inside of me as a fan that I could be interested in Creed 3 or the Drago project.
Wow, that's uncalled for, in my opinion.
We invite anyone from the forum to let us know if this is wrong or if this is incorrect statements from Patrick. And they have to do it in point form, though. 6, Dolph Lundgren. 6, Dolph Lundgren can't in good conscience sign up for a Drago project when Sly is angry at Winkler for shutting him out of yet another project. So again, they're saying Dolph is also a backstabber. Sly, if he does a project, look, it's just a job, guys. They need work. Okay. So he ends with this. These posts are still there on the forum. I just checked. So I made the comment that I thought they were deleted, but I guess they're still there. I didn't see them, but maybe, Patrick, you can actually send me some direct links or screenshots because I'm having a hard time finding them. He goes on to say, hey, Donald, this is for you. He says, I think Donald wrote on the Discord that Rocky might be back in a potential Creed 4 if Creed 3 is a success. That notion is regularly dismissed on the forum because if Creed 3 would be a success, Michael B. and Erwin Winkler would think they were right that they don't need Sly anymore. Now, that's a fair way of saying it, but it's kind of like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Right.
If Creed 3 fails, it hurts the franchise, but the people can say, it failed because Rocky's not in or the Sly's not involved. Mm-hmm. But if it does well, then supporters of it will say, hey, see, we don't need Sly, which isn't true because the whole franchise wouldn't exist without Sly. So it's a weird thing to say. Like, the fact that Creed 3 exists as a film only exists because of Sly's creation.
I think that's accurate, though. I do think that will be ammunition for Winkler and Michael B. and whoever. This was a risk we took by not having Sly in this, and it paid off, so to speak, so we can continue on without him.
But then people who are saying that it's successful because he's not in it. That's what do you call that? Is that a
no? It's that it succeeded despite the fact that he's not in it. It stands on its own, and so we can continue down that path. I don't want that to happen. I'm just saying I do think that that's the message.
That's a fair argument. And you could also argue like Star Wars Rogue One, the film, kind of off topic, but it didn't have any lightsabers. So you could say Star Wars films could be successful without lightsabers. So now we don't need lightsabers anymore. That's not the point. It's just it was a good standalone story. And I don't know why people can't do that with Creed 3, that it might just be a good standalone story in the universe. Yeah. Kyle, did you like Rogue One? Are you okay with that one?
I never watched it.
Oh, you might like it, actually.
I can't remember if it was... I don't know which one I quit watching Star Wars at.
Probably Last Jedi. It was a divisive film, was Last Jedi.
I think so. That's like when Mark Hamill finally came back.
Yeah.
Was that The Last Jedi? Mark Hamill's there for like a minute at the end, and then the movie after that? Is that The Last Jedi?
That's Last Jedi.
Yeah, at Last Jedi, I quit Star Wars.
Oh, that's my favorite Star Wars film. I'm not even joking.
That's fine. I just lost interest.
That's fair.
Like, it's not like I even am mad at it or hated it. I'm like, I had enough. I'm not committing to spend money and time on this anymore. Like, I've moved past it. I'm just a lukewarm person, but I just don't care about stuff as passionately as some people do. Like, when I hear these people on the forum talk, you're not a true fan of this and that, and what's wrong inside of you, it makes you such a bad fan. I'm bewildered by it. How do you care so much about something like this? But it's just like people you don't really know, and it's just like, it's a movie. Like, come on. You're spending time out of your life to get upset and petty about something like this. I enjoy talking on the podcast about Rocky because I enjoy socializing with you guys and I enjoy talking about films I like. But if it got to the point where I'm getting angry and upset about what people are saying online, that's time for me to go and move on with my life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I agree. I think this is just fun discussion. I just want to make this clear. Like, I'm not trying to cause drama, but this is a podcast where people are listening, right? They're listening while they're working or driving to work or jogging. And I think this is good little behind-the-scenes stuff that's happening with people that they don't even know that they know. Lastly, he says, in my opinion, you said it too, Ryan, a successful Creed 3 is definitely good for the Rocky legacy. Patrick says, I'm a teacher, and my pupils, 10 to 16 years old, only know the Creed films. They love them. And through them, they discover the Rocky films. When I tell them that the old trainer had his own movies, they should go watch those films. Some very final thoughts about my personal handling of the Sly Creed situation. I consider myself a big fan. A huge Sly fan, he says. Why? I don't feel like boycotting Creed 3 and everything Michael B. Jordan, although I know if true how Sly was treated behind the scenes. I don't know really. I just love the two Creed films too much. And I'm too interested in how this story set in the Rocky world continues. Am I a bad Sly fan? Some may think so. I personally don't. Having a family with 2 kids puts a lot of perspective. In the end, we're talking movies. Very important ones? No. The most important ones for me? Of course. But movies. It's 1 a.m. in Germany right now. Good night, you three. All the best, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah. Thanks, Patrick. That part at the end is like, I really echo that sentiment.
We all do, Patrick.
There's way more
just
important
movies.
things in life.
They're just movies.
Yeah, I'm trying to put myself in Bob's shoes or somebody, I can see you having a bigger stake in it if your personal friend is really struggling. And I'm sure it is like a huge deal. Like we understand that these things would bother us too if we were in Sly's shoes. So, I mean, that's valid. And if it was like my personal friend, I might have a bigger stake in it, but yeah.
Right. That's just it. Okay. So this Bob guy, I will give this much away. Sure. Has talked to Sly and says he talks to Sly and Sly's talked to him or whatever. So there's maybe the friendship. I don't know how much of a friend they are. Like, can Bob invite this person over? Can Bob invite Sly over for Christmas and Sly shows up? Unlikely. However, they've talked and have shared things back and forth. Great. Good for Bob. You're right. It's a friend. So you get a little bit more passionate because it's a friend or a family member. Fair enough. But then you should also understand Sly's not my friend. Sly doesn't even follow my stupid show on Instagram. So why? No, we don't talk. Sly and I have no relationship. But to me, he's just a celebrity like Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I have zero relationship with this guy. Zero. And I never will. So I'm a fan of his films, but I have nothing invested with his personal life. His personal life is his own, and my personal life is mine. Like, Sly doesn't give a crap about me. Does he care about my struggles at work or the things that I've been through or things that are personal to me? Well, no. Well, then, hey, fair play, Sly. I don't feel that way about you. These are films, and I enjoy them. So I'm on Patrick's side to the degree. Of course, we're going to see Creed 3. I got to see how this thing ends. So speaking of Creed 3, he also sent me some quick, a lot of different screenshots from early reviews of Twitter reviewers, like blue checkmark Twitter people.
Oh, okay.
And nothing spoilerish here, but he just said this. He goes, here's some of the reviews. They sound really good. Not the train wreck disaster Bob, Frank Stallone, or even Sly to an extent predicted or knew about. Maybe a nice discussion for you three, but we won't belabor this too much more. But here's one that's very interesting. Creed 3 is an intense emotional journey. Great directorial debut by Michael B., coupled with amazing performances by both Thompson and you called this, Katie, and the scene stealer Jonathan Majors.
I did call it.
You did. Every review talks about Jonathan. So that really intrigued. Every review mentions Jonathan Majors as an incredible force in this film. Fight scenes are awesome. A few times I was wondering where Rocky was, but it never took away from the story. Most of the reviews kind of echo that same type of review, and there's non-spoiler reviews you can see on Twitter, but basically people are saying Jonathan Majors is great. It's a great director. Someone else said that there's an emotional scene in there that will make you cry. So early reviews are positive, and these are people that are not associated with the movie company. They're just independent reviewers, and it sounds like Creed 3 is a good-looking film. Jonathan Majors is a force to be reckoned with in the film, and there's some emotional moments, and the fight scenes apparently are incredibly filmed. So, I don't. Those are early reviews. Maybe when the fans see it, they're going to review bomb the film, which is very possible. You get those people who review bomb films. Yeah.
The younger audience doesn't even know who Rocky is, really. Michael B. Jordan is super famous to them, and so they're going to a Michael B. Jordan film. His goal, obviously, he wants to take it in a new direction. it's just all of us like old timers that are like having a hard time with the exit of Rocky.
That reminds me of a saying, you want your friends to do well, just not better than you.
Yeah. So Dave says he's got tickets already, so he's going. Donald, though, says he's going to follow Bob's example. He's going to burn his Creed DVD, so I guess he's going to have to do that. So, yeah, great stuff, guys. Thanks for your support in Discord. Again, it's fine that Bob and his followers have these feelings. That's fine. They're allowed to. But I think telling somebody how to feel, I don't think is a way to go. Like, imagine if, like, you and I, Katie, you're going to see Creed 3, and I start shaming you, and you're like, well, you would right away be like, Ryan, F off. And I know you would. And you should, because enjoy whatever you want to enjoy. By golly gee. And I really hope Bob actually watches. I really hope Bob does watch it eventually, because I actually would like to hear his thoughts on it. And I'd be curious to hear. Yeah.
I didn't even know the release date, so I just looked it up on my phone.
Very soon, yeah.
It's the day after my birthday, so this is going to be my way to force my wife to watch Creed 3. It's my birthday. You have to go to a movie with me.
Oh, man. Do I have to see this in the theaters now so I can talk about it with you guys? Oh, boy.
Would she not, she like wouldn't otherwise care to see it?
Probably not. You know what? She has watched Creed 1. She watched Creed 1 with me, theater, but on DVD, and she liked it. She didn't really like it, but she had a good time watching it. I don't think she watched Creed 2 with me, but I could probably get her to watch Creed 2.
I'm going to have to see this in the theaters now. I'll just take my 16-year-old son to it, I guess, or something. Because
we're going to be itching to discuss it.
I know. I didn't think I'd do this. Oh, boy. I just bought the video game Hogwarts Legacy. It's a fun game, and there was a big hoo-ha about it that if you bought that game, you were anti-LGBT community because of J.K. Rowling. Yeah. So this is what it feels like. I bought the game, so I must be anti-gay. I'm going to go see Creed 3, so I must be anti-Sly. And that's kind of what it feels like. It's that.
I'm curious about the resolution for, I guess, both Patrick and you and anyone here on our Discord that's on that forum. I am not. But so what is the feeling of, I guess, more moderate fans? Are they just like sticking around and do you plan to engage less and still follow? Or are you leaving the forum?
I think Patrick's going to stick around because I think he's kind of like me. He wants to stick around to see what it turns into. But it's a good question. Are fans? Yeah, is anyone else discussing the changes in the forum? I'd be curious to know that too. Like, what's the discussion? Is there any negative discussion at all anymore? Yeah.
We're saying we should probably move on and do some trivia or something.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to do one scene. So I know this was. I told you this is a big discussion, but it is a Rocky podcast. There's a lot of I like this kind of discussion, quite frankly, with you. I love it, and we're going to do one scene in the Rocky film. We're going to do the scene where, of course, it's coming up where Apollo's talking to his management about the rematch. We'll do that one scene. So let's do the Rocky question and answer. We'll answer it right away with each other. We'll just do that. True or false? After a reporter in the hospital asked Rocky, "What did you think of the last round?" Did Rocky answer that I should have stayed to school? True or false? Everybody's got their answers locked in? So, Kyle, what's your answer on that?
I put true.
I put true as well. Okay.
True.
37. Okay. What does Mickey yell to himself? What does Mickey yell to himself after the reporter on TV says, "But there's only one problem. Where is Rocky Balboa?"
What does Mickey yell?
Remember, he's holding the soup and whatever in his lap.
You hear that soup? He hit the carpet.
Yeah.
God, I hate that.
I know.
It's
probably shag carpet too, so it's not.
Have the answer, Katie?
I have no idea.
Okay,
I do.
I know he says bum. Dirty bum? Dirty bum? Something like that. It's something bum.
Oh, shit. I put that bum. Like that bum.
Okay, it's either dirty bum or that bum or something to that effect.
I think dirty bum, now that you said that. I wish I could change my answer, but I'm not.
Well, okay, I would say if you guys, I would probably give it to you both. If the answer is something about what a bum or something like that.
So you didn't even have bum in there, Katie? You didn't?
No.
Okay. Because it's really hard to hear. Because when you hear it, it's just...
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good question, though. He does say something. Okay. 38. What is Apollo Creed's first hate mail that he reads?
I think it's like something about how much did you get paid to carry this bum, blah, blah, blah.
That's what I put.
Yeah. 39. Where did Rocky propose to Adrian? Okay, well.
The zoo.
Last questions are like super hard.
Well, yeah. Well, there's no real order. It's just there's something will be very hard, and there's like what does Rocky's name begin with? What letter? Who says you're messing up his brain real bad?
Paulie.
Yeah. Okay.
Holy.
Here we go. So the answers are, real quickly, let's do it. True or false? It was true. Then what does Mickey yell? It's ugly bum.
I think you guys, I'd give it to you guys because you both had something bum. Okay. I would give you both the point.
Well, you're very kind if you do that. I just feel bad. I knew it was something bum, dirty bum, ugly bum. Okay.
It's incoherent. Like, I don't even know how he knows that unless he watched.
Oh, we're wrong on 38, guys. Are you keeping score there, Kyle, by chance?
Not for you guys.
Okay.
You guys
I'm keeping. Yeah, keep your own score.
It's you didn't beat nobody, and anybody who knows boxing knows the fight was fixed.
Shoot. Okay.
Yeah. The Zoo and Paulie. Okay. So I got 4.
And I got 3.
Oh, Katie is slowly eroding her lead.
Yeah, I knew it too. Yeah.
We're getting into the film now, and here we go. I love this sequence, by the way.
Look, I don't know about anybody else, but as long as I'm going to be promoting this fight myself, I want a lot more pressure put on for a rematch.
Hey, we can get the same money for the 2 top contenders. Why go after Balboa? Why?
Because there's still a lot of people out there that think he won. There's a lot of people out there accusing me of having a fight fixed, accusing me of being a fake, and insulting my kids at school. That's why.
You want to hear the truth?
Yeah, I want to hear the truth.
The truth is that last time he was damn lucky. Now he's all finished. I mean, he's been hanging around doing nothing for 6 months.
It's been 6 months, I guess, since the fight. Rocky has been lying around doing nothing, which is pretty much true. Apollo's kids are being teased at school.
There's a real-life parallel to that. Muhammad Ali, with his rivalry with Joe Frazier, and Rocky very much embodies Joe Frazier in these early films. Muhammad Ali would accuse Joe Frazier of being an Uncle Tom. If you guys if some of the listeners, especially maybe in Europe, haven't heard that term, Uncle Tom is a term for a black person kind of works for white people and does the bidding of white people. He kind of betrays his own race. Joe Frazier was not an Uncle Tom at all. Like, he kind of like Apollo had an all-black entourage and everything. Muhammad Ali was actually quite cruel to him there. Joe Frazier's kids apparently got a lot of shit in their school. Like, his kids were harassed, and he was harassed by other black people who believed Muhammad Ali that Joe Frazier was an Uncle Tom.
Aww.
Oh, yeah, I don't like when the family gets involved. That's...
Yeah. Look
like
at all
kids.
the angry tweets he has in the background.
Yeah,
bags
Kyle, you talked about it. There's the mail.
Yeah.
This is bags full of mail. That's not crazy. You think about how many DMs or tweets celebrities get. That's legit. That's all in a bag there. And think about how much paper is saved now with tweets.
Like, it's no effort to find someone on Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. Find Tyson Fury or someone like that on Twitter, no problem. It would take me 2 seconds. If you wanted to write Muhammad Ali or Joe Frazier or someone back in the 70s, you'd have to actually hunt down their address or the address to where the P.O. box or whatever it is you send it to.
Sure.
You can't go online. You'd have to really put in some effort in order to find that. You would get probably the most passionate people sending letters. Like, you wouldn't have any meh comments in those letters. It would probably be mostly the crazies. Because you'd have to be kind of nuts to take the effort to send him hate mail like that.
There's no character restrictions either. You can write as much as you want.
Yeah, but there's also the writers of these letters. They don't know whether it's been read or not. They don't get that immediate fix of whatever they're after by getting a response or not.
How many nude photos do you think are in there from female fans?
Actually, I hadn't even thought of that, but tons, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a real thing that celebrities, of course, get now. But even back then, girl fans, or of course guys too, I would assume, but fans, like female fans, would send sexy photos to the male celebrities. That's a real thing. I've heard many accounts of that back in the day.
Well, that's how Adonis was born.
Well, no, it was a dancer. It was just the dancer in the Rocky Four fight.
Yeah.
I don't condone cheating at all, but
you get it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I probably could go cheat on my wife if I wanted to, but it would take a lot of effort for me to do that.
Yeah, I'm too lazy.
Picking up chicks is not really my forte. If I'm in a situation where women are throwing themselves at me, it would be a lot easier to make that decision. Even though I don't agree with them cheating, I think it's human nature to a degree.
Yeah, we're not confused by it. Nobody's confused any more than we're confused by Leonardo DiCaprio's young girlfriends. Like, I'm not confused why he's doing it.
Yeah, I really don't respect that.
No, but I'm not confused by it.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand wanting to have sex with someone who's young and attractive, but being in a relationship is different, right? Because like Leonardo DiCaprio
They have
could
nothing
go
to talk about. They would have nothing to talk about.
He could go out and have sex with a new 20-year-old every day of the week if he wanted to. In terms of having a relationship, he's pushing 50.
He's
your age, Ryan.
Yeah, we're born the same year, yeah.
What kind of conversations are you going to have with someone who graduated high school 2 years ago?
Well, they don't talk. They're not talking.
You're only as the cheating thing, like you're only as faithful as your options are, or something, or your lack of options are. Or something
that's a
like
good
that.
point. Again, that's the human nature point. Yeah. No one's bugging me. That's for sure. Dave said this, Kyle, you might find this interesting in particular. Fraser said it in an interview, he didn't know what Uncle Tom was. He thought Ellie was calling him a peeping Tom.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that.
Really? How funny.
So Fraser's like, I'm not looking at anybody naked. What are you doing?
I feel really bad for Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier was one of the best of all time. He happened to compete in one of the most competitive and prolific eras of boxing. Right. He was really in a lot of people's shadow, and I think he was just overall a nice, kind of quiet guy, so he didn't get the same attention as like people like Ali got. Yeah, he's one of the more underrated champions. Like Bill Burr, he has like this famous Philly rant where he does this. And he's like trashing in Philadelphia. And one of his things, like, you guys idolize someone like Rocky who doesn't even exist.
Right.
Where it's like in your own city you have Joe Frazier. Like there's no statues of Joe Frazier around. Maybe there is, but
good point. It's a really good point. Bill Burr is funny. I like him. You next, Joe. You next.
Yeah, that's great. To Sly and the film crew's credit, Joe was in that film, so he was immortalized in that film, not Ali. So there you go.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't make sense to have Ali in that film because Apollo is Ali, so to speak.
The actual film piece clip we just saw, I don't understand Tony's rationale. Like, if he's trying to dissuade Apollo from wanting to fight Rocky, he's not doing a very good job. His argument is he was damn lucky. He's a nobody now.
We know that Tony's trying to help his ego a little bit here.
If Tony's saying the guy you fought was damn lucky, then my argument as Apollo would be like, well, then no problem. I'll fight him again. It'll be easy. So I don't think Tony's really...
No, you bring up a good point. The underlying issue Tony does reveal, but you're right. That initial... But the damn lucky could also be how he was chosen, too. The fact that we chose this guy the way we did.
I think the damn lucky had to be that Rocky with the distance. I think what Tony's trying to do here is I think he knows that it really bothers Apollo. Rocky did so well in that fight. Mm-hmm. Apollo knows what he felt like being on the ropes at the end of that round, and he was more or less saved by the bell. And I think what he's trying to say is, look, you don't need to prove yourself as a good fighter by fighting this guy again. You could just move on. This guy got lucky. He's not worth your time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't think the way he went about it was... He should know Apollo better than that.
Yeah, it's a weak argument. You're right. It is a weak argument. It's not a strong one, for sure. And he also says, a little dig, he throws Mickey under the bus here. Any trainer worth anything wouldn't have nothing to do with him.
Well, Mickey isn't having anything to do with him.
Oh, good point.
Yeah,
he will later, but at this point, he's not. So, yeah, I guess to Mickey's credit, yeah. All right, good point.
Any trainer worth anything wouldn't have nothing to do with him. Now, I say, let's go after some new meat. Forget this bum.
Bum? Oh, are we doing bum count?
Oh, boy, we've been terrible with that, haven't we? Oh, boy.
I don't think so. Are we? Shit, I think we.
Well, we did start it. We started it at the beginning of Rocky 2.
Yeah, Katie 11, Kyle 12, Ryan 15, EM King 10. I think this is the first bum.
It might be. It's been a while. Okay,
it has been a while. Okay, at any rate, there's a bum. There's a bum.
Agreed. We know that ugly bum's coming up later.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been as many bums. You're right. There really hasn't been. Well, I think that's why we were alerted to this, because we heard it, and that reminds us of the count. I think it's just been a while. Yeah. Okay.
Thing wouldn't have nothing to do with him. Now, I say, let's go after some new meat.
I love that new meat.
Forget this bum.
You think I beat him the last time? Do you?
You got the decision. Man, I won, but I didn't beat him.
That's always
famous
a great,
line.
Famous moment, yeah. And even
Tony's body language says everything you need to know.
Yeah. The pause.
Like, he broke eye contact and, kind of looked into the, I don't know.
Just looked away.
Into the room. He looked away.
Like, you got the decision. Even he was like, you got the decision. And even he knows that's a weak ass. It's the truth, but that's all he has. You got the decision.
Tony's one of the few people saw Rocky's potential from early on. As soon as he saw Rocky punching that meat, he saw something there, and he started to get worried. End of the first round, he was like, okay, let's just finish this guy and go home. I know he calls him a bum. I think Tony realized, too, when Rocky knocked Apollo down, that it wasn't a lucky shot. Like, this guy's for real. Like, get serious here. And I really think Tony's trying to save Apollo by getting him to fight someone else.
Agreed.
What are you afraid of, Tony? Honest? Yeah, honest.
He's all wrong for us, baby. I saw you beat that man like I never saw no man get beat before. And the man kept coming after you. And we don't need that kind of man in our life. I know what you're feeling. Let it go. Let it go. You're the champ.
Thank you.
That's a great acting moment by Tony. That's one of the classic moments of this movie. It's often quoted or talked about, I see you beat that man like I've never seen no man get beat before. And he kept coming after you. It's a great description. Like, very, not very many words are used to describe that fight. You kept beating that guy, and he kept coming back. What a great description of Rocky's ability to keep taking punches and keep moving forward.
It reminds me a little bit of Mickey's discussion with Rocky in the third film, where Mickey's like, my job is to keep you healthy and to keep you winning. When Tony says we don't need that kind of man in our lives, from Tony's perspective, his job is just to keep this train going. Apollo being the champ. Where Apollo's mindset is, he wants to be the legitimate champ, and he's not ducking anyone, he's not running from anyone, not letting anyone beat him. When Tony says, I know how you're feeling, he does not. Clearly does not. He thinks he knows, but he does not really know how Apollo's feeling. That argument, this guy just kept coming after you, we don't need him in our lives, is the exact opposite of what Apollo's thinking. This is like a splinter in his foot that he has to get out. It's just going to keep bothering him until it's out. Like, he has to settle this in his mind. He has to settle in his mind, beat Rocky Balboa, and then he could move on. There's no way he's going to duck this guy. And that's what Tony seems to say.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. I love that splinter analogy. That's awesome.
I do too. It was a good one. Tony Burton, as you pointed out, man, he is just like kind of the unsung hero of these movies. Also, I love his outfit. I love Tony's sense of style. Everything about it, I love it. But Tony, I do think he gets it. While we aren't shown it, and this would be a good prequel, is Tony's like fighting career and how he and Apollo met. That would be a good prequel. But I think he probably has been there before as a previous fighter. I think he does understand it. He knows that Apollo's not going to let it go, but he has to try. And then Apollo doesn't even recognize what Tony says. He completely just moves on and talks to his PR people. Like, he didn't even say, I get you, Tony, but we're doing this instead. He just like puts it aside.
Of course, I love this, thank you. He says, oh, thank you for that. Thank you, Tony.
Oh, I guess he does acknowledge it at least in that way.
Well, he goes, thank you.
Thank you. Look, you're in charge of my public relations, right? I want a whole new campaign started. I want something done publicly to bring this man out. I want something done to jar at this man's pride. I want something done to get the people around him talking. All right?
You realize if we use this humiliation tactic, you're setting yourself up as the bad guy.
Look, man, whatever gets him in the ring.
Look, man, whatever gets him in the ring, that's great.
It's at the point now where Apollo's like, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I need to resolve this. It all costs. I need this splinter out. I don't care who I piss off to do it. I gotta get this guy in the ring.
He's scared too. I don't think he's confident that he can beat him. The way he hears what Tony says about we don't need this kind of man in our life.
I think it stung him a little bit. I think.
Yeah.
But like Kyle says, he's like, oh my gosh, whatever. Like, he's like, whatever gets him in the ring. I need to just get this done. I can't go the rest of my life not resolving this issue. I didn't give him my all in that first fight. And we find out later, of course, Apollo is all business in his training. He's not fooling around anymore. No costumes, no setup, no getup.
There's a thing in Rocky 3 that I really disagree with. Apollo says to Rocky, I trained hard, but I didn't have that look in my eye. I could kind of see in the sense that Apollo was living in like a palatial gym or whatever. Man, like he had the eye of the tiger in Rocky 2.
That's a good point. He really did.
He was really going to get him. And I think Apollo was his absolute apex of a fighter in Rocky 2.
You're right. That doesn't quite make sense.
Of course, we never see his other fight, but he was at his very best there. He just lost to Rocky because of the decision he made. I go for the knockout.
Hey, we got a name of the pet shop here. Let's see it.
Just says pet shop, doesn't it?
No, I'm trying to get the...
oh, the words are over it.
Yeah. Jesse's Pet Shop. There we go.
Okay.
So Jesse and Gloria, they're having a turf war with the pets.
It's Springfield and Shelbyville.
I love it. Jesse versus Gloria. Yeah. It's funny if Adrian goes, I could work at the pet shop, but she works for Jesse.
You know that song? It's like Jesse's Girl.
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
I wish I had a girl like that.
I wish I had a pet shop like that, yeah. This has been a fun episode. I apologize we did very little film today. It's just one of those days. We had some great, wonderful emails that bring up... The reason why I like the emails, too, I mean, obviously, if we got 20 an episode, I wouldn't read them all, but we only get a few here and there anyways, but they bring us some great discussion points, which is why we're a Rocky podcast. We're not just a film commentary podcast. So I appreciate everyone that joined us live. Dan, Dave, Philly Dude, Louise, Donald. I think I got everyone there. Thanks, guys, for joining us live. That's really cool. Again, if you want to join our Discord and be a part of the live discussion like you're hearing right now, Discord, it's free. It's really easy to join. You just click on the link in the show notes. You join the server. You get to watch us live, add your input live, which I'll read on the air, which I think is fun. Again, it just adds to the discussion and makes it more of a community thing. Join my Patreon. Yes, Louise, I'm going to get the season finale up there soon. I apologize it's taking so long. Of the Tulsa King, people have joined because of the Tulsa King reviews and reactions that I've done. So I appreciate the support that people have done for that. Send us an email. We do love the email, so if you want your voice heard, send us an email. And eventually, one day, I might get a voicemail for the show where people can call in and leave voice messages. I think that people might actually do that, so they actually just get their voice on the internet or on the podcast and say, "Hey guys, like your show," or "I got a question for you," or whatever it might be. I think I tried to set that up, but I'm actually moving to the States in a few months for a posting. So, did I tell you guys that?
No, I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm still screening, so I haven't really advertised it because screening sounds like what it means. Like there's a lot of paperwork we have to do, and everything. If everything goes through and works, I'll be back in the States. I did it before I started the podcast. I was there from 2011 to 2015, but I'll be going back there again for 4 or 5 years as my retirement posting, working at the Naval Air Station in Whidbey Island, Washington. So if everything goes well, I'll be there in June. Yeah.
So you're not going to Calgary then?
No. I'll talk to you more off air. But yeah, I'm not going to Calgary anymore. I'm going there for my last posting. If everything goes according to plan. But I think in the States, long story short, I think it's easier to set up the voicemails when I'm getting it in the States. I think it's just easier to do that in the States. Okay. That's why I did that whole segue there. Anyways, thank you so much, everyone who's joined to watch the show. With that, folks, the episode is over.
I didn't hear no bell.
I just want to say one